All right, so good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again. And afternoon. So today I just wanna go through what we've been talking about on last week, Sunday. We started the topic on channels, right? And we went through a brief introduction on channels where I told you guys, okay, well, you know, if you have an ascending channel, right? If you have an ascending channel, you look for it to break up to the downside eventually. And if you have a descending channel, right, you look for it to break up to the upside. I think last week when I did the video, I talked about upward and downward just for you guys to understand the basic knowledge. This week we're gonna actually give it its proper name, is actually ascending and descending channels. Right, so we spoke about identifying ascending channels and then also knowing when the channel is likely to break. Right now, usually I like to see 3 touches on a trend line regardless, right? For me, I make it very simple for myself. Simplicity for me is that if I see a flag happening, and even on this channel here, and I see 3 touches of a trend line up here, then I am looking for the market to set up to sell down here now. I'm not looking for the market to come back up here. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It is possible because, you know, we can directly predict the market as such. Yes, we could do our analysis and stuff like that, but the market does what it wants at the end of the day, and it doesn't always respect the direction or the patterns. You know, many a times I would have seen head and shoulder patterns that just got invalidated and stuff like that. So until you have your confirmation for that direction, then don't just enter into a trade blindly just because it looks like it's going to go in that direction, right? Same thing with channels as well. So just because you have an ascending channel doesn't necessarily mean that the trade is going to always break out to the downside, right? And a good example of that, I think, is Euro JPY. Was it Euro JPY? Or was it GBP JPY? Let's look here and see. Right, so you could see with an example here with GBP JPY how this broke up first before it actually sold. So just because it's an ascending channel, right, don't just start selling, especially if you get a third touch of a trend line. Don't just start selling. You know, even if you had some type of hint that the market is going to sell. Let's say here, for example, we can see the market came up strong and it did a fake out and it came back here. You saw an engulfing candle. Now imagine if you had gone into this sell simply because the market tried to break out, got rejected, gave you an engulfing candle, and then you said, okay, look, double top, right? Double top, engulfing candle again, and for myself. And then this is what happened after. All right, now I'm gonna talk about this type of stuff eventually, right? Because this is really a stop hunt here. Right? Take out all of that cash out here with those stop losses and then drop the market. We're gonna talk about that eventually. But what I really wanted to start off today with was going through some of the channels I would have drawn last week for my own analysis. An analysis that I would have shared with you guys as well, and shared on YouTube, etc., for everybody to see. Right, and the first one is Euro USD. I drew an ascending channel here on Sunday. And I just want to break it down as well, because we could see that the market did just, you know, what we expected of an ascending channel to do, right? Which is to break up to the downside and sell. And you can also see how the market respected the areas that I would have drawn as support equals resistance as well, right? So if I had to just zoom in here for us to just get a closer look, all right? Now, this is more or less a double top, especially if we look on the lower time frame. So the market actually never broke this high when it got here, right? So let's just draw something there so we could see that this is our resistance zone, right? So market range here for a bit. And then we started to get the drop. Now, really and truly, what I would have loved to see, although it still did play out, would have been the market coming here, right? And then giving me a type of head and shoulder pattern, and then giving me the drop. That would have been an ideal, like, you know, we talk about, you guys would have heard me say before about ideal setups that, you know, you could kind of like, you know, put some money on it, right? That would have been an ideal setup, but this still played out nevertheless. This still played out really well. We had a nice break of this zone and retest before we continue to the downside, right? And like I told you guys last week, all you need to do is look left. If you look left, then you could actually set a target, your take profit target. Because if you look left, you would notice things like a W, right? Because I told you guys last week as well that the market often have areas to fill, right? So you could see how the market took off here and never actually did a true pullback, right? So when I see an ascending channel, and I know if an ascending channel, the market should likely break up to the downside, I start to look at the complete picture. I start to ask myself, what areas there does the market have to fill, right? And I could see all of this is an area that the market has to fill because the market never really did a true pullback, right? These areas never got tested, right? And this here is the center of our, you know, lopsided W, right? So overall for a sell, this would have been my target area here, right? So I would have looked to come out of the market on this. Unfortunately, I don't trade Euro USD anymore, but well, for the time being. But you can see too how the market basically respected this zone and buffered around it, right? So if you guys took this sell, congrats. Personally, for the moment, I don't trade Euro USD until, especially during COVID, I told you guys I have all off of the majors for a bit. But this played out really well. Let's look at GU as well. GU also played out really lovely. This was an ascending channel that I drew last week as well. And as I told you guys, for target areas for your take profit, just look left. And I'm sure you'll be able to spot some form of W as well, right? You'll be able to spot some form of W that you can look at for your overall take profit zone, right? So for example, right, this zone here, as you can see, the market just took off from here. So all of this is areas here that the market needed to come out and fill. I mean, we got a nice retest and then the market shot up as well, right? So that ascending channel would have played out for a sell as well. On USD, we did trade this last week. All right, we did trade this last week. This was a favorite of mine. Really loved it for the sell. And you could see from the ascending channel here, I also showed my overall target. And my target would have been the center of this W here. All right, type of W that I had here for lopsided W it is actually. And the market tested that area and now starting to make some type of move probably to the upside as well. So this was really, really good. This was a really, really, really good trade here, right? It was actually a head and shoulder pattern, and that's why I told you guys to start yourself from here, and really, really good risk to reward as well. So and you could also see based on my markings where it said I have the market to break this zone, come back and retest this resistance and drop, how the market basically did just that and took off for the downside as well, right, for continuation. So this is a good trade if you guys took that, right? Overall, pick count for that. All right, just about 100 pips. Just about 100 pips. And to be honest, you didn't really have any deep pullbacks either, right? So it would have been a really nice sale to the downside. All right. NZUSD, I mentioned last week when I was taking the AUD-USD sell that I was also going to sell NZUSD due to the correlation. So you can see how in this ascending channel, how the market also played out really lovely for this sell. But this one, I got knocked out with profit because I was merely holding for this zone here to hit TP, right? But it didn't reach yours yet. Not saying that it wouldn't, but it didn't reach yours yet. So still a good trade for me overall, because my take profit, my stop loss was moved up into the profit. So I just want to show you guys here a nice head and shoulder pattern that you have here as well, right? So you basically see how the market basically just played out with that, right? So nice head and shoulder pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then the market sold. Basically came back up and retested that zone, that area, and then sold again, right? So this is a really nice trade. I took this with AUD-USD, so this played out really lovely as well. I think my entry was, around here, breaking that low. So, I mean, in total, the trade went for 80 pips, but I got knocked out around 30 pips in profit, something like that. But this was a nice one as well. And then we're going to look at USD CAD because I looked at that last week and I told you guys what to look for in the call, right? So everybody could see. All right. And then I told you guys to buy USD CAD as well. Right. So you can see the zones here that I had marked out from this descending channel, right? The first zone I wanted to be broken was this one here, right? I wanted this zone here to be broken, and that's exactly what happened. So I actually got him for a buy around here when you know, the market started to push up. So I got him for a buy around here because of this candle, and then I took that, and then I told you guys to get in at the retest of this zone, here, which is what you would have had on more than one occasion, right? So this was my analysis where it said from here, expect the market to drop, retest here, and then continue to the upside. So you can see how that would have played out as well. Right, everybody see that? Right, so for me, the market just went 100 pips for me, I know for sure, but it went more than that. It actually went 132 pips, but I got 100 pips over it. Right, and to be honest, guys, you don't need to delete or get rid of your zones. Market will respect it. So just look and see what the market does here and now, basically. But this was a really, really nice setup for last week, USD CAD. I called this, and like I tell you guys, always map out your zones because it gives you an idea, a target area. And actually, I'm gonna show you something really cool now, because they had to take out the background color, right? So this is an overall channel here, right? Now the reason I took out the color of the big channel is because sometimes we have, and this is a valid point, we just have so many distractions happening that you guys actually miss the opportunity on, you know, zoning in and actually focusing on the entry point, on the thing that you're supposed to focus on now, rather than trying to catch the whole thing, and rather than trying to, you know, do everything and trying to catch the whole entire move, and just break it down into smaller portions that you can handle, right? And it helps with your trading. That's already helped me. Because sometimes, you know, persons will send out a signal on GBP odd or odd USD and stuff like that, and you know, our analysis on this, and it's on the daily or the H4 time frame. You guys are like, you know, you guys will be like, oh, GBP odd gonna drop for 450 pips. I want to catch that move, right? And then 2 weeks later, you check back, you'll be like, shoot, I actually missed GBP odd, and I actually went through 450 pips. Because you was so focused on the big picture, you actually didn't look and see the smaller opportunity within that you could actually utilize in order to then catch the entire move. No, check this, right? So this was the channel. Let me just check out this smaller channel here. So this is the overall channel it was looking at some point in time, right? Let me just zoom out here. Now let me go up to the 4 hour time frame. So we got a massive descending channel here, right, on the H4 time frame. So you can see how the market basically coming out here, respecting this middle zone, coming down here, respecting here, going back up, blah, 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 right? Now, in a channel, the market would break out to the upside or downside as a fake out, right, before it comes back in. And often when you see things like that, you think, you know what, the trade is invalidated. You know, I'm no longer going to look at that trade anymore because it has not respected my zone. So let me look for something different, right? Now, last week, when I was looking at this bigger picture here, USD CAD started to fall around Monday, I think it was. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday. USD CAD had dropped and actually break this bigger descending channel here, right? And I said to myself, okay, what is really happening with USD CAD, right? Because I expect it to buy. So I actually zoomed in and I saw this happening, right? I saw this happening, and it was at this point that I said, hang on a minute, this looks like a channel as well. And Yes. This is just what I was telling you, Money, that sometimes you know, especially as a beginner, you may not always know how to draw a channel or how to see it, you know, how to actually, you know, pick out that that's a channel that formed you. For me, I just look for waves. If I see something happening in a downtrend and it's waving going down a downtrend, or it's waving coming up in an uptrend, I'm looking for waves, right? I start with a trend line first before I actually, you know, attempt the channel. So I start with a trend line, and I start from the top here, and the trend line helps, especially for beginners. The trend line really helps, right? So I start with a trend line, and I get my downtrend, right? And I look at these waves, and I say to myself, this looks like a channel. Is respecting my trend line. Every time it gets there, it drops, right? Let me see if I can actually put a parallel channel on it and see if it respects it. So here, from here now, I actually go for my parallel channel, right? You have a nice, lovely tool that TradingView gives you to make it nice and easier for you to draw your channels, right? And it's just, the way I see it is, it's just a trial and error thing. You may not get the channel to be perfect the first time, maybe not the second time, maybe not even the third. But start with the trend line is going to help you, right? Because all you have to do now is just follow the trend line that you drew, and then expand the channel. Wait, hang on, sorry. So let's do that again. So I'm going to follow my trend line that I drew, and now I'm going to expand the channel. And all you're doing is seeing if the market is respecting that, you know, the lows and the highs of this channel that you would have drawn, and more so the middle point. If you could see the market respecting the middle point, where you could see it ranging a lot, testing it a lot, and going back up, or testing it and coming back down, right? It starts to validate the channel to me. It starts to validate my waves that I see. Right, so I really wanted to say that, because I wanted to go through that again. This is a fantastic example here, where, you know, we're looking at the overall picture, where we could see on the H4 time frame we had a massive channel, right? But it actually broke out of the descending channel. Rather than invalidating the trade idea for the buy long term, you know, zoom in and actually see what the market is doing. Just because it broke the channel doesn't necessarily mean that your projection for the trade is invalidated, right? Because as I showed you guys, once I zoomed in, I said, hang on a minute, I can see a clear downtrend here. So maybe now is not the opportunity for the buy that we're looking for. Let's see what the market is telling us. And here we could see market was on a downtrend, right? And from the downtrend, I could see waves. And once I'm seeing, let me just put myself here so you guys can see me. Once I am seeing those waves where the market is actually, you know, doing that up and down movement, right? From my trend line, I can then place a parallel channel on the actual wave itself to see if it respects my channel, how it looks. And you can see there, you guys could actually see, you know, how that played out. Any feedback, any questions, any concerns?
Not right now. I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a trial and error thing, huh? You may not get it the first time, you may not get it the second. But as I say, what I do is that I personally look for a trending market. And I also look for waves. So I use my trend line to identify my trending market first. And once I can see some nice clear waves, then I put a parallel channel on it. And most of the time it actually respects my parallel channel. Right? Alex is saying, yeah, on the bigger channel, I can see that the buy is probably still validated since the upside has been has only been touched twice, correct? So you can still look for the market to come back up to the top and eventually break to the upside and go for the buy. That's right, right? That's absolutely right, Alex. So correct. So we could see here where we would have had the opportunity for ourselves to get him for the buy, to get back into the bigger overall picture, which is the bigger channel on the H4 time frame. So you guys would have gotten in around here, right? And you can see how the market came up to the center of my overall channel and then dropped from there, right? So you see how the market's basically respecting the zones as well, right? So so I would really love to see how the market starts to play from here. To be honest, I could go as far as to say that, you know, let me see if it's a inverted head and shoulder forming, which is what I was looking for overall. The reason being is because here I have a left shoulder, I have a head. So I was looking for my 100% retracement of my head, which is what we have right here. And then also from here, I was looking for the market to come back down and give me a right shoulder, right? And this pattern here that I'm looking for to complete, right, will then give USD CAD the strength it needs to get back up to this H4 height. So the top of this channel here, the top of this H4 channel, it would give enough strength for USD CAD to get back up there, so long as the pattern is respected and so long as the pattern remains validated, right? So this is definitely one to keep your eyes on, right? Just because if you didn't get in for this buy here, when I would have sent out this analysis and showed you guys it on YouTube and stuff like that, if you didn't get in for this buy, then don't sweat it. You're gonna get another opportunity so long as the market respects you know, this pattern that I have here, right? If the market respects the inverted head and shoulder that I wanted to see form, then definitely you're going to be able to get a nice buy to the top of the H4 channel, right? Alex, any comments from yourself? Anybody, any feedback? No? Yeah, it looks really good for the buy. Yeah, definitely. I could see the inverted more or less playing out, but let's wait and see. They don't want to say that in the market, because the market could do a couple of things here too, huh? That's the inverted that could play out. The market could also decide from here, right? It's gonna come up to here. Just 1 second, let me just get this here. Market could decide, come back to here, come down, right? And then from here, do a drop back down to these lows. So as I say, right now, just watch and see how USD CAD plays out, right? Use your MACD to see how that volume is looking. But also regarding what you said about how the channels move, that will protect you from fake outs, which is important. Which is well, that yeah, yeah. Which is what this particular one did at the bottom. Yes, it did do a fake out. All right, it did do a fake out. If you look at the daily time frame, and we have to zoom in, you could actually see. Let me just move this particular one here. You could actually see how the market it was just a wick, and then the market just went up. Right, literally that breakout that we had on the 1 hour time frame is just a wick on the daily time frame. On the 4 hour time frame, you know, on the 4 hour time frame, right, you had a few candles that actually just broke and then came back in. So yeah, right, so that's the USD CAD. Yes, on chef, we were looking at on chef last week, guys. You guys remember? We're looking at our chef last week. We had a nice double top that then broke the ascending channel. Right, so we had a nice double top that broke the ascending channel. And even in cases like this, if you are not sure, it's better to be sure, right, than to actually try to get into trade thinking is a double top and then the market takes off. So one thing you guys could do in the channel is similar to me, map out your zones. That's gonna help you a lot. You know, we knock support and resistance a lot. You know, beginners think, oh, you know, support and resistance ain't really that important, or, you know, because we teach it so early up. We teach it so early up in your journey that persons actually don't pay as close attention to it and not understand the importance of it. You know, so I just wanted to show that it's really important to really grasp support and resistance is the foundation of your trading, right? So you could see if you guys were unsure about our chef, and you wasn't sure if it would continue up and so on, just map out your zones, right? This is the last low the market made. You could have easily mapped that out and wait for a candle to break that zone. We spoke about breakouts, you know, we spoke about breakouts so many times. I did a whole boot camp on the breakout strategy, right? So boxing consolidation and wait for solid body candle to break the zone, which you had here, and you could see how the market basically respected that zone and continued for the drop, right? Because actually I had a shoulder pattern as well. So if you map out your zones properly, you would actually see patterns forming within your zones. A nice head and shoulder pattern as well, right? So that shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then the market dropped. I'll check. All right, and it came right back here, so that the center of that W there that I had, right? So everybody could see how it actually respected that zone. Okay, Alex is saying, based on what you've shown us thus far, you can realistically just trade the breakout strategy, the head and shoulder patterns and channels. You can trade, you know, any pattern, Alex, because it will be a channel, it could be a head and shoulder pattern, you know, 3 months later I could come and, you know, show you guys teacups or, you know, different things. There are tons of patterns out there. There are tons of patterns, but really, truly, like I told you guys last week, we building a story, right? So persons come into trading and think, you know, persons come into trading and think, oh, I just need to do 2 months, and if I don't see the results, then it ain't ready for me, or I just need to give it, a month, or I'm gonna just invest my money into it 2 months, and I can't do that no more, and stuff like that. And I can be very honest with you guys. There have been persons trading for it for a year, 2 years, didn't see any results, and then in the third year, everything just turned around. In the fourth year, everything just turned around, and it's a process. It might take one person 3 months to be lucky and grasp something because of how they learn, and you guys gotta remember that. And you can't compare, how I basically store information to how you store information. It's like planning for exam. Some people have that type of picture brain, let's call it screenshot brain, where they could look at something and their brain just automatically takes a screenshot of it, and they actually remember that for the long term. Some people need to do revision, from the start of the term, and actually read the book 5 and 6 and 7, maybe even 15 times before they actually retain that information. Some people could look, and cram information 2 and 3 days or even a week before an exam, and they retain the same level of information as maybe somebody that was doing it, from the start of the term or the semester, right? Some people actually, are completely different, where their learning style is different. They're more audible learners, or everybody has their own different style of retaining information, and that's why I tell persons, like, don't judge your journey based on somebody else performance, or based on somebody else's results, because you can have a completely different story than Kathy-Ann, than Marcia, than Monique, and Alex, and whoever else, right? So, I often, even though persons come to me and say that they just need a little help and whatever, and I help them, and they give it a month or 2 months, and then tutus, no longer interested, or or they stop their journey in trading or whatever, or they fall off, they completely get distracted, but you don't know what's in store for you. You really don't know what's in store for you. So, and then, and I want to say, like, there is a lot of potential in a lot of you, and I see it every single day that I talk to you. I see it every day that I talk to Kathy-Ann, Alex, all you guys on here, right? I see it. It's growth, it's consistency, it's discipline. It's plugging in, is a lot, right? Persons that I haven't actually met, but there's watched my YouTube videos, or has watched my classes, or watched videos I posted before, just from plugging into the information that I give and just practicing it. You could do really well. Just Kathy-Ann, you have something you want to say?
No, I was responding to Alex's comment, because I would say this to Alex. Yeah, you can trade a specific thing, but it helps to not just focus on those, because sometimes a pair that you are familiar with can give you a different pattern that you are not familiar with, right? And it would be helpful to be able to recognize it at that particular point in time.
But do it. But and I agree with you. I agree with you, Kathy. But also do it in a chronological order. That's what I do. A lot of people don't like my style. A lot of people love my style, and a lot of people neither here nor there. But my style is to break down every single thing and go bit by bit by bit by bit, because it helps. It doesn't make any sense me showing you today how to trade head and shoulders, tomorrow how to trade channels, the next day how to trade pennants, the next day how to trade this, because it's just gonna be too much information. You're gonna feel so, and you're gonna feel like, you know, it's just too much for you, and that's when you're likely to give up. Yes, people can give up along the way, but I might, based on my experience, especially as being a teacher now, or a tutor, or educator, whatever you want to call me, a coach, it's better for me to do things in stages that you guys can grasp, you know, the main properties of each pattern, and actually practice them and stuff like that to get overall, you know, overall knowledge and whatever of the pattern, than for me to come and put everything at you guys. Is like me just coming and taking a semester work and throwing at you guys and tell you guys read the whole book and you can be good to go. You know what I mean? So I actually prefer to break it down step by step and you guys follow with me. All right, so really and truly, the first half of today was just for you guys to see how all the patterns played out. Right? All the patterns played out. So any feedback on that before I start the recording for this lesson on the channels? All right, USD CAD, just giving you guys something on there. So for USD CAD, like I said, let's look and see if we could get the right shoulder playing out for inverted, but you have to monitor it. Right? But it is likely, right? It is likely. MACD is coming back around to retest, to give you guys an opportunity to buy. So just wait it out and see how it plays out, to be honest. And there was one more thing too. Your CAD? Yes. So eyes on USD CAD for this week. Euro CAD I showed last week Sunday. Didn't break it as yet. So I showed this for a long-term buy eventually. But let's see how it plays out. I need to do some more analysis on this. But I still have this validated for the buy. But I just need to do some analysis. But the reason why I'm rushing it a little bit is because I don't want the recording to be too long. We could go through the analysis of your account once it close off the recording. I don't want the recording to be too long. And BJPY as well, you could see how that played out. Great. So just a heads up, eyes on USD CAD for potential buy for inverted head and shoulder pattern farming for this week, and literally USD CAD alone, if that inverted plays out, your week could be done with just one pair, right? Because if the inverted plays out and you actually get in on the right shoulder, right up to the top of this channel is about 193 pips. Right up to the top of this channel. Like I said, if this inverted really farms the way you want it to farm, it would give USD CAD enough strength to push right up to the top of this channel, 193 pips, and your week done. Right? So that's really today's session for the channels. All right, so next week we're gonna run through. Next week we're gonna bring everything together because I I actually, for next week, what I wanted to do was to do an actual analysis video for YouTube for everybody to follow on. So we're gonna do analysis at how I did it last week. We're gonna give you analysis for the week. And we see how it played again. This week was just to show the results of last week analysis. Right?
Karen,
Yes.
next week also, do you think that we can, if there's time, we can
Mhm.
actually look without you having to tell us, like, see if we can actually draw out and mark out the channels and stuff?
On Tuesday.
Or you could do on Tuesday?
Mhm.
Huh?
Yeah, Tuesday.
All right, cool. I have to leave, so the recording finished? Okay, all right, so we will catch up.
All right, no problem.
All right.
Good. Right, so next week, guys, like I was saying, we will focus on analysis for the upcoming week, and actually map out the channels, map out some head and shoulder patterns and stuff like that, so that you guys could see the following week how they actually respected the patterns, respected the zones, and played out. Right. So that is all in next week.